As we assemble the winter forecast, one of the major contributing factors is the jet stream, and there are jet streams all over the planet. They're mainly in the mid and upper latitudes of both hemispheres, and they are giant, fast-moving rivers of air that push storms around the globe, and they often become the dividing lines between warmer and cooler regions each season. This year, we are likely to develop a La Niña pattern. We've been in El Nino patterns for the last several years, and that makes us warmer and drier than average. Now, we're actually in a transition period, and in a La Niña event, cooler water comes from the depths of the Pacific off the west coast of South America, and then it spreads out across the middle of the ocean, and that cooler water then influences the air above it, and that affects the air patterns. So in our part of the world, what we see is the polar jet bringing some cooler air down toward the Great Lakes, and the Pacific or subtropical jet then brings moisture into the middle of the continent. So Ohio happens to be right about where those two streams meet. And since the jet stream is often a storm track, that brings more storms through our part of the country. So with that, we get wet weather and the potential for some rain and snow. It should also be enough to break our drought pattern. Now, in a normal winter, the subtropical or the Pacific jet stays all the way down here near the Gulf of Mexico. The polar jet dives down toward the Ohio River Valley. But with the La Niña pattern, the southern jet comes all the way up to us and into our region, while the polar jet then comes down toward the Great Lakes again. So in theory, we end up warmer and wetter than average. But if that storm track sets up just a few hundred miles farther south, then we're in the cold air and we're looking for a whole lot more snow. Of course, there's a catch to all of this. Since 1950, Columbus has not always followed the conventional wisdom. The historical data shows that we tend to be cooler than normal in December and January, but warmer than average in February. And we tend to have more snow in December and less than average in January and February. The bottom line in all of that is that we tend to be cooler and drier. That's not what you would expect with a typical La Niña pattern. And adding to all of that, this season, we are not fully into La Niña yet. The pattern may not actually emerge until February or March, but we're getting there. And that means the jet may still be in a position to bring us some warmer than average temperatures for a little while. And with enough of a storm track, we may also be a little wetter than average. And certainly we're going to be wetter than we were the last couple of years because we were way below average. So when is all of this? Well, we're looking at meteorological winter. That begins December 1 and lasts through the end of February. We're only looking at those 3 months. That's the meteorological winter. The past 3 years, we've had snowfall that's been way below normal. This year, we may get closer to normal because of the renewed storm track. So let's go with slightly above average temperatures, maybe a degree or so above average, and snowfall that's pretty close to normal, say 18 to 22 inches over the course of the next 3 months. Again, that's more than the past 3 years, but not all that unusual. It is winter in Ohio. So if we put it all together, we get a December, January, and February with an emerging La Niña pattern. That gives us temperatures that are fairly close to average, and snowfall, let's aim for 18 to 22 inches, which again is relatively close to average, but it's a much more traditional winter than we've had in the last several years. Good luck out there. Remember, spring starts on March 20th. On your side, I'm Marshall McPeak.